I sometimes hear people talk about their business ideas and dreams, but not do anything with it. And a lot of these people, I think, are a lot better equipped to start a business than I was, partly because I had zero business experience. And for a long time, I thought I had no business being an entrepreneur, literally. But I followed my husband's nudges, took the plunge, and opened my own therapy practice, which after 15 months is now covering our family's living expenses. And this is a huge part of us being able to coast into financial independence, retire early. So if I can do it, you can do it. And today I will share with you 5 lessons I learned growing my 5-figure business as a stay-at-home mom with absolutely zero business experience. Number 1, you will probably never feel ready. Start anyway. Don't wait until you feel ready. Feeling ready to start a business and being ready don't always happen simultaneously. And I think most of us are ready before we feel ready. Start even though you might still be wrestling with imposter syndrome. And I think that's actually a really normal part of starting anything new is that you have imposter syndrome, meaning that you just feel like you actually don't know what you're doing and who would listen to you and who would buy your products. Ali Abdaal, who's a very famous YouTuber, you might have heard of him or seen him on YouTube. He was sharing in one of his YouTube videos on building a lifestyle business that him and his wife attended this conference, and they were talking to this group of businesswomen, all who had businesses making over $50 million a year. And they were surprised to hear that these business owners were saying that they still on some days feel imposter syndrome. And I thought that was really interesting just to hear that even really successful business owners still feel some of that imposter syndrome. And I think that people who are successful at a business or any other pursuits, they're not people who don't have imposter syndrome, but they're people who start anyway and who keep moving despite doubting themselves some days. So even if you're still struggling with this of doubting yourself and your skills and your talents, start anyway. From a cognitive behavioral perspective, it can be really powerful to replace that negative self-talk. And with that negative self-talk, I mean that you might be saying things to yourself like, I can't be successful, or I don't know enough. If you replace that with things like, I can be successful, and I can figure things out, and I can learn new things, then you're allowing your brain to problem solve, to create new neural pathways, to develop new skills. Number 2, you are not too old, too poor, or too unexperienced. There are actually a lot of awesome stories around business owners who didn't have a lot of background or knowledge in the area that they were starting a business, who didn't have a lot of seed money, and who were kind of older. For example, the owner of KFC I believe he was around 62 when he started KFC, and it was after another of his restaurants had failed, and he was living off Social Security. Another good example is Sarah Blakely. She was 29 when she founded the company Spanx. She didn't have a lot of experience in fashion and not a lot of money to start the company, and yet she grew pretty successful. We often imagine successful businesses with huge investments and a grand business plan, but Nike, for example, started with Phil Knight selling shoes out of the trunk of his car, and the swoosh logo he commissioned for $35. He didn't have experience manufacturing shoes. He started, learned, and figured things out as he went along. Don't worry about what you don't know. You'll figure it out step by step. When I opened my practice, there were a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't even go to school in this country, so I had to learn a lot of how things work here in the US. I spent hours on YouTube learning from other therapists who had opened their practice, watched videos on marketing, because I also didn't have any background in marketing. I didn't know how I was going to get clients into my practice. I made a business plan for myself, which just meant writing down different ideas on how to market myself, and I tried a few different things. I spent hours learning how to create my own website with WordPress, which I had never made a website before, but because I'm frugal, I didn't want to pay another company. I didn't want to have like a monthly subscription to use a service to have a website. So I used WordPress, which is great because it's free, right? You can make everything yourself, but you also have to code everything. And I knew nothing about that stuff. Okay. And I had to, on YouTube, there's some great tutorials. Sometimes I would get something wrong in a coding or whatever, and I would wreck my website, and there was nobody to fix that for me. I had to go into the code and fix it, figure it out, troubleshoot, Google, whatever. And there were moments when I was tempted to just give up, but I reminded myself, everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. And the thing is, in those moments when I was having the thought, I can't figure this out, who am I to think that I can do this? This is too hard. I wasn't able to progress and I felt really defeated. The moment I changed my thoughts to everything's figure outable, well then my brain went, okay, if everything's figure outable, then I can figure this out. I just have to continue searching and trying. And at the end, I did figure it out, and I did manage to get a website, which I think is pretty cool. And with marketing, I posted myself on different like therapy platforms, but also I started giving seminars at local parishes and schools and marketed myself that way. And that was actually pretty successful. I leaned more into networking with doctors and other therapists to get more referrals. And this month, for the first time since we opened our virtual doors in September 2024, I have had to turn clients down because we are full. So you are not behind. You are not lacking anything to start your business. Go for it. Number 3, stop waiting for the perfect setup. I've always dreamed of starting my own practice, but when we got married and we started having children, I thought that dream was slipping far into the future because I thought there's no way that I can see enough clients to cover the overhead costs of having my own like physical office. I would have to work so many hours and I don't want to be away from our little kids for that long. And so I thought I would have to wait till all the kids are in school and I just have like time to devote to building the business. But my husband really helped me think creatively and outside the box. When one day he just said we were going for a walk and he said, why don't you just start your practice virtually? Once he said it, I was like, oh, that's so obvious. But because I had in my mind this one thought of how I thought my business should be, it really kept me from thinking creatively of how I could make it work in my season of life. And so after he said that, we started talking. 6 months later, we opened my practice. And now I am fully virtual. I'm able to do it while still being home with the kids. And I really needed someone else from the outside to look onto my situation and give me a new perspective. So if you're like me and you're not naturally an out of the box thinker, find someone who is, or at least get someone from the outside who's not so close to the dream as you are, to give you a fresh perspective and to maybe open new possibilities that you maybe hadn't considered, that maybe make starting your business more feasible than you think right now. Especially nowadays with everything being online, there's way more options to make the business fit into your current life. And if you're worried about taking the risk of not knowing if your business will create enough revenue, maybe you can start small while you're still having your 9-to-5 job. Start small, and as your business ramps up, you could decrease your hours in your 9-to-5 or quit completely. And it's funny because with me having my own business now with my practice, we're actually going to reach financial independence a lot sooner, allowing my husband to stop working, which means that I can expand my business more. So it all really works out well. Well, starting my practice wasn't smooth sailing all the way through, which brings me to my next point. Number 4, failure is not the opposite of success. What I think keeps a lot of people from starting their own business is the fear of failure or setbacks, where in reality, most successful businesses have had multiple setbacks along the way. Failing in your business does not mean that you are a failure as a person. It also doesn't mean the end of your business. A setback or failing or noticing that something isn't working is actually a really great opportunity for you to learn, okay, what is not working? Well, what might work, right? So seeing failure in that light, that is just a natural, normal process of starting anything big, and that it can actually help you reach your goals, can lessen that fear of failure and help you to just start. Also, the more you fail and get back up again and continue, the more resilient you become to fail. Not that you want to fail, but it just helps you not fear it as much. And it also helps you practice getting back up and not seeing a setback as the complete end. So if this fear of failure is kind of what's keeping you from starting, I just want to encourage you that just expect to have a few setbacks or just expect to fail and then just laugh it off, shake it off, and continue. Because failing doesn't mean that your business idea is bad. It just means that you maybe might have to slightly pivot or just try something new. Number 5, define success on your own terms. Nobody says that your business has to be as big as KFC, Nike, Apple, or whatever. I think sometimes people get stuck on saying, well, my business will probably not be as big as Google, so why even start? But you get to define what success means for you. For example, for us, our goal with my business was to be able to cover our living expenses. Also for me to do what I love, but we wanted to be able for it to cover our living expenses, which it has now. It's what it's doing right now. So for me, my business is successful. And this goal of my business covering our living expenses was actually from the get-go within reach. And I was pretty motivated through that because that would mean that I would probably very likely reach my goal. Or maybe you do want to grow a multi-million-dollar company. That's great. Go for it. But put some milestones in place that are achievable and that motivate you. So for example, you could say my first goal is to be able to live off of my business so that I can quit my 9-to-5. Great. You reach that. You're like, yes, success. And then maybe a little bit more success would be that you make enough to expand your company so that you can make a 6-figure business and so on and so forth. So bottom line is that you get to decide what success means for your business and how it's going to serve you in your life. YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video next. And leave me a comment down below. What is your business idea? What's your dream? I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, have an awesome week. Bye, guys.